what was your job directly before SI?
I was the Florida beat writer for the Tampa Tribune.
Okay, and before that, you were in Tennessee, right?
Before that, I covered high schools for Tampa, and then before that, covered Tennessee for Chattanooga.
Okay, so when you were in Tampa, if SI would have called you up and said, Andy, we'd love to hire you to be a national college football reporter, but we know that you're inexperienced, but we're going to find out on the job if you have the chops for this. Or they said, you know what, you can stay in Tampa for one more year. We're going to pay extra close attention to see if you can do it, and if you can't, we're not going to hire you. Like, what would you do? Like,
I'm taking the job.
You're taking the job, and if you fail there, then you might as well fail there. Then instead of failing, get the salary, you get the that's all this is. So, like, if Billy Napier is upset about it, or doesn't want that to happen, obviously for
I think he wants it. Purposes. He wants it to happen. What's going to be tricky, and I don't think there's a situation where this happens just because of the way NFL teams will probably handle Richardson when they pick it, or whichever team picks him. But if he were to get into the games as a rookie and be playing well, that's going to look terrible for Florida. Because how did you only go 6-6 with that?
Well, I mean, it's kind of the same thing that happened with Oregon, right? With Herbert.
Oregon won the Pac-12.
No, I know. But Herbert in the NFL is not Herbert at Oregon.
Herbert
are Oregon fans going to get mad at me?
His junior and senior year was pretty damn good. Like, I do think
Herbert turned out to be like one of the 3 best players in the NFL, like right away.
They didn't cut Herbert loose his senior year really until the Pac-12 championship game. But he was dominant in that game. And very
okay, well, maybe people are going to get mad at me. I do not remember him being 500 yards passing in the NFL good when he was in college. And that the whole thing was Oregon didn't allow him to use his skill set to the full potential until for the majority of his high school career.
Was roundly criticized for being too conservative with Justin Herbert at that point in his career.
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
Yeah, no. Oregon fans lobbed a lot of that criticism, so they're not going to get mad at you.
Okay, so people, because like what I'm saying is exactly what happened with Oregon. You said, because you made it seem like I was crazy for thinking that.
Well, no, but Herbert was very good as a senior.
No, I don't think he stinks.
Yeah,
or wasn't very good. I'm just saying the heights to which he's reached in the NFL.
Yeah, you wouldn't call Richardson good at Florida in 2022, though.
No. Yeah, I'm not comparing Herbert's output to Richardson's. Yeah. But what I'm saying is you don't want people that root for your college to look at somebody who played there and played poorly or didn't play to their potential and go be one of the best players in the NFL in year one.
Right.
Because like to me, because it's not like the guy's going to transform into Josh Allen in 6 weeks in the NFL. Like if this is going to work, it's going to take time.
Yeah, it's not going to happen that quickly. And honestly, I think the judgment on Billy Napier is going to happen quicker than Anthony Richardson's NFL development. Because
I don't know if this is where this is headed. But I was asked in my recruiting mailbag this week about like expectations of what Florida had to do in the 2024 cycle for him not to be on the hot seat. And I'm wondering if there's a situation in your mind where Napier might not even get the benefit of the doubt of their 24 class before this is all wrapped up.
They have a new president at Florida. Okay, who Ben Sass, who was a U.S. senator. He's from Nebraska. He was, I believe, the assistant president of Nebraska at one point. He's going to be more involved in athletics than the previous president was. And so, yeah, they're going to take a look at that. Like, don't expect anything to be set in stone. And if they go 6-6 again, I don't know, because this is as apathetic as I've ever seen the Florida fan base. And they're not even mad anymore. They're just to the point of like blah. And I always felt like that is a much worse place to be than your fans are mad at you. So now here's the thing. If Napier and his staff come out and win 8 games this year, like the fan base will be fine. They'll be like, okay, cool. Good. Trajectory's good. DJ Lagway's coming in to lead a stellar 2024 class. Like they'll be fine with that. But if Florida is as middling as they were last year, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a big problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, like the whole thing, too, is like a recruiting-based question. And I think off the top of my head that Florida has 3 top 50 players committed in 24, so things are looking up on that regard. Mm-hmm. But I'm wondering if like things are so uncomfortable with the team level, if he might not even have the opportunity to save his job through recruiting well.
This is where he's facing a challenge this year. I'll be straight up. Stuart Mandel put him on the hot seat list in his mailbag this week. And look, you know how fast Florida goes through coaches, so nothing should surprise you at this point about that. But I was looking around at Pro Day, and so Anthony Richardson obviously is going to be a first-round draft pick. Osiris Torrance, who's one of the players who he followed Billy Napier from Louisiana. He's also going to be a first-round draft pick. He was a guard. Javon Dexter's probably, we're talking third-round type, maybe even could push his way into the second, defensive lineman. I was asking, who are the NFL scouts going to be in Gainesville to see next year? Because like Trevor Etienne's going to be really good, but he's only going to be a sophomore this year. He's not draft eligible. That's a good thing. That bodes well for Florida that he's there. But Montrell Johnson, who is a back who followed Napier from Louisiana, he's one they'll be coming to see. Ricky Pearsall, the receiver who transferred from Arizona State, he's another one that they'll come to see. But who else? You know, that's the big question. Who are some of the other players? And to this point, those guys have not really distinguished themselves. You know, there's a couple like Jason Marshall, the corner. I think that's one that people could be excited about from an NFL standpoint. But it's
I do this exercise with other SEC programs, and it's a pretty easy assignment.
It's very easy. Like Georgia, we're coming to see Brock Powers, and then it goes from there. Like it's like this past year, we could have told you last year, oh, they're coming to see Jalen Carter, they're coming to see Darnell Washington, they're coming to see Nolan Smith, all these players. So, and Georgia will be the same way. You know, some of those offensive linemen this year, a bunch of that defense is going to be everybody's looking at. LSU, they're going to come. You know, they're coming to see Mason Smith. They're coming to see Jaden Daniels. They're coming to see. You know, we can go down the list, and that's where you kind of wonder, like, where does Florida rank alongside maybe Tennessee or South Carolina in that respect? Because you're not overtaking Georgia. But the question is, are you going to be behind Tennessee and South Carolina too? Because if you are, that's going to be a problem.
Right. Yeah, no, that's well, here's the thing too that I was going to ask you before the podcast, because I knew we were talking about, and I had this hypothetical in my head. Who's taking a bigger risk? The GM who drafts Anthony Richardson or Billy Napier with Graham Mertz?
The part on risk with Mertz, like the question is, what were the other alternatives?
That's true.
You know, because Sam Hartman didn't choose Florida. He went to Notre Dame. As far as I know, Florida did not. Like Austin Reed was out there. He's from the state of Florida, very good quarterback at Western Kentucky, but Florida wasn't really interested in him. He wound up going back to Western Kentucky. I do believe they kicked the tires on Tulane's quarterback, and he ended up staying at Tulane.
They also had a quarterback in their 23 class.
They did have a quarterback in their 23 class, Jaden Rashada. That's true. That's true. Currently hanging in Tempe right now.
Well, if they didn't get Mertz, then maybe the check clears. You know, I don't know. Because they might. I'm kidding. Okay, I'm just saying.
There was no check, Ari.
Yeah,
therein lies the problem. So
I kid. But okay, you're right. All right, so there's no alternative. But the fact that there's no alternative is scary.
Yeah, that is, and that's the situation. That's where, because Jack Miller, the transfer from Ohio State, is still there, and then Graham Mertz. You know, we'll see what happens with him, but he's got experience, you know that, but it's not particularly great experience at Wisconsin.
Yeah,
that's why Wisconsin is changing everything now.
You know, as somebody who covered Jack Miller's recruitment very extensively, he was once supposed to be the quarterback of the future for Ohio State. Is the door shut on him being the starter there?
It's not shut. He's still got a chance to win it if he outperforms Mertz, but from what it sounds like, Mertz is outperforming everybody else.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if he had a shot to maybe do some things that we've kind of forgot about, or in terms of, or shut the door on in terms of like thinking about.
Yeah,
like
the door's not closed, but he's got to overtake.
Yeah, I'm not even asking if the
that's...
door is technically closed from a battle standpoint. I'm asking you from what you've seen out of him, if you think he has enough to like be excited about, or if it's kind of like if he wins the job, they're in bad position.
I mean, we've really only seen one game. We saw him.
It was a bowl game, right?
Right, when most of the roster it felt like most of the roster wasn't playing. So that's not one I'm not going to form that much of an opinion on that. So
yeah.
Julian, Florida giving up 30 plus a game is how they went 6-6 in the regular season. No, their offense could have been better. This is you're not.
Defense didn't help.
It didn't help, but you can't.
They both stunk. Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. Who's going to make the defense that much better? By the way, new coordinator too, because the last guy took off for the NFL.